What are the different levels of mental health professionals? The other day, I just ran into a young lady who was maybe her first or second year of her bachelor's degree, and she said that she wanted to go into the mental health profession. She said she wanted to be a psychiatrist. And I said, hey, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about that? I think it's wonderful that you want to be a psychiatrist. Are you prepared for all this education and this training and the residency and all this other stuff? And I just wanted to pick her brain, not to discourage her, but to inform her. A lot of people are not edified before they go into this profession. I'm going to tell you, if I could have done things differently, what I would have done. Let's get into it. I'm going to start off with a master's level clinician like myself. I'm going to just say social service worker. In this profession, social service, you're licensed. You are a licensed social service worker. You can be a LPC. You can be a LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist. You can be a social worker. There's so many different licenses depending on what state you're in. There's so many different licensed mental health professionals at the master's level. The alphabets are just ridiculous. I'm just going to stick to these three: LPC, licensed marriage and family therapist, and social worker. This is a 4-year degree, bachelor's level degree, plus an additional master's degree. It can be 2.5, 2 years, 3 years. Mine took 2.5 years to complete. That's the master's level clinician. Let's bump it up to the PhD clinician. Okay, psychologist. What is that? It's 4 years plus an additional 2.5, 4 years. I want to say it's about 5 to 6 years after your master's degree in social work. Now, or social services. Now, you can go directly into a PhD, a psychology program from your bachelor's degree. You don't have to get a master's degree. You can go, skip this process from bachelor's degree to psychology, PsyD, whatever program that you go into. So you can skip the master's, go straight into the PhD. A lot of people don't know that. But how you become more competitive is you go get your master's degree in social services, then you go on to get your PhD. You're more competitive that way. But if you're doing extremely well in your bachelor's level, you're doing extremely well academically. Let's say you've got, internships or practicums and you've gotten experience on your own outside of your education, you can become more competitive and go straight into a PsyD or a PhD program. That's a psychologist. Okay. In the PhD program, focus more on research. Is testing and assessments. Okay. Testing and assessments, learning how to score, learning how to assess, break down the results, all that stuff. Testing and assessments and research, very heavy in the psychologist program, psychology. Okay. PhD level. I'm going to skip this one here because this one's my favorite, and I'm going to go to psychiatrists. Now, let me go back real quick. Psychologists in 4 states in the United States of America can prescribe medications. In 4 states in the United States of America, a PhD psychologist can prescribe medications, but not in all 50. Psychiatrists, the main difference between psychiatrists and everybody else, of course, more education, but they went through med school. They completed medical school. Medical school is like what? 4 years of bachelor's degree, then you get into medical school. That's like an additional 5 years. And then once you get into your residency, depending if you go into surgeon, if you go into psychiatry, that could be 2 to 5 years, depending on what you want to focus on. Now, the quickest way to get out of medical school is just go into family practice, general family practice. Okay, but they don't get paid as much. But that's the quickest way you get out of medical school. But anyways, psychiatrists, they go through medical school. With that being said, they prescribe medications, y'all. That's the biggest difference. Prescribe medications. Okay? Now, with that being said, psychiatrist doesn't get the same training as the research and testing and assessments that a psychologist gets. Okay? So as I said, medical school and they prescribe medications. That's the main difference between all of these. But psychologists, their testing and assessments, depending on what program you get into or you go through, testing and assessments, it could be testing and assessments heavy in that program. This one could be heavy in research and statistics, depending on what program you go into, what you want to accomplish with your PhD. So understanding psychiatrists, understanding psychologists, if I could do it all over again. Hold on, baby. I would be a nurse practitioner. And that goes right here. A nurse practitioner is basically a bachelor's level nurse who went on to get her master's degree. And now she has all the training and education as a nurse, but then went on and get the additional training, and now she can prescribe medications. The nurse practitioner works underneath typically a psychiatrist. Okay, so nurse practitioner prescribes meds, does all the nursing duties that a nurse can do. So does the nursing, what is that, vital signs, that's, checking blood levels, sending in for labs, all those different things. Like a nurse can do all of those things. On top of that, prescribe medications for the symptoms that her patient or his patient may be experiencing. Those are the main differences and the main levels in the mental health profession that many students, when they go to grad school, they go into their bachelor's program, they don't get explained to them. So that's why I wanted to break this down at master's level, PhD level, nurse practitioner, master's level, and psychiatrist med school. Wanted to break all these different levels down. And if you want to learn a little bit more about each level, let me know, and I can go further in depth to help explain what is needed for you to be successful in whatever you want to get into in the mental health profession.